Back when we were young, there was a video game that we absolutely loved. It was 4X. It had spaceships, destroying everything, building buildings, managing resources, all sorts of stuff. And I've often said, boy, would I love to have a board game version of this game. Well, now we do, and I'm slightly disappointed with the fact that it is simply a card game and not planets and miniatures and destroying everybody. But I gotta say that you gotta get over that hump, and you gotta give this game a try, because it actually is a very solid card game. And that game is Masters of Orion. In Masters of Orion, the board game, the players take the roles of one of the 7 different factions from the Masters of Orion video game. You start with a civilization board, a handful of structure cards, and a bunch of resources to use to build those structures. Each player has a number of action cubes based on their exertion rate of their civilization. Exertion is determined by the number of resources you have at the start of any given round. On your turn, you can use an action cube to take one of 7 different actions. The first of which is you can construct one of those structures from your hand. You spend the resources required to build it, and you put it into one of your systems. Each player can have 4 total systems, and each one of those systems can only contain 5 total cards. Every card in your system will produce the resources at the top right of the card at the beginning of each round, and you'll score a number of points based on the number in the bottom right of the card. But only the card on top of each of your systems will provide its ability. Once you cover a card with a new one, the old one will stop working for you. The next action you could take is to exploit a card from your hand. Discard it and immediately gain the resources printed on the lower left of the card. Spending an action cube to research allows you to draw cards from the structure deck. You can also spend an action cube to convert resources into another resource through trading. Throughout the game, you'll have to be managing your civilization's morale, because it both scores you victory points at the end of the game, but also certain structure cards can't be activated unless you have a morale of 6 or higher. Taking a propaganda action will increase your morale by 3. You can also discard 3 cards from your hand to recruit one of the advisors from the center of the table. You can only have one advisor at a time, but they'll give you valuable benefits and they can aid particular strategies through their abilities. And finally, you can attack another civilization. Spending fleet resources will drop the opponent's morale and gain you victory points. In addition to the 7 main actions you can take, many of the structures you build will provide you with a new action that you can use to do unique things. After either 8 rounds of the game have passed, or someone fills up all 4 of their systems with 5 cards, or someone ends the round with 0 or less morale, the game will end and you're going to score up all your cards. The player with the most victory points is the greatest civilization in all of the galaxy. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that this is not a monster miniatures game with planets and all sorts of dice rolling and all kinds of crazy stuff in it. But like I said, it is a solid game. It has some really good mechanics behind it, so it's a good card game. Just get over that hump that you wanted a Masters of Orion game in a different way. First off, let's talk about the artwork. The artwork's very well done here. I think it looks pretty cool. Now, the graphic design is a whole other story. Not a fan of this, and this is something that works against this game a lot, in my opinion. People wanted Masters of Orion, the gigantic 4X miniatures game, and they also see the back of the box and see the graphic design, and they're like, yeah. But listen, it's still good. You have all these different races. You knew them from Masters of Orion, the video game, and they all have very different abilities, and that is really awesome in this game. It's really cool because each one of these guys, they have a different ability, they have a different, which affects their actions slightly, and it also has different starting resources, which makes them very cool. It makes it feel like there's some difference there between the different players. Now, on the other side of the board, you got the humans. It's like Eclipse, every board has the humans on the other side, and they have no power at all. No power. I don't know who's playing these guys. I mean, look at this dude. This dude's saying, yeah, I don't know who would play me. I don't think I'm going to play me. Don't play the humans. Play the other guys. I don't know why you'd play without powers. Anyway, talking about the cards then. I think that this game, what I like about this game the most, and probably what makes me think it's a really solid game and I really like it, is the fact that my favorite game mechanic in any game is cards with multiple uses. My favorite game of all time is Glory to Rome and has that. This one has it like to the top level, right? Like so many different things you can do with these cards. You have abilities on the cards, you have victory points on the cards, you have resource generation on the cards, you can throw them away to get resources, you can buy advisors with them. There's so many different things you can do with these cards. And I think that is so much fun. I just love the fact that you're going through all your hand and each card has a value based on the strategy that you're trying to employ. And you have to figure out which ones are important to me and which ones I can throw away and use for resources. Great aspect to this game, and I think that's what saves this game and makes it fun for me, because it's those really good choices. Another thing that I really think is solid about this game is the fact that the cards cover up the powers of the other cards. At first I was like, ew, I want all these powers and I can only manage 4 of them at a time. Well, I like that because that really makes me think hard about where I'm going to place these guys and where I'm going to, what I'm going to cover up. That really is a hard choice because you got 4 spaces that you can possibly put them. So you're going to have 4 powers at all times. So you're really thinking about which ones are more valuable to my current strategy and when it's time to pivot that strategy and replace that with a new card. Sometimes you'll play a whole game with one single card in a system because you want that ability for the whole game, racking up points. I like that a lot. This is an evolving engine game, and I dig that aspect to it. Aspects I really don't dig about this game: attacking. I find attacking kind of a boring action to take. Attacking sounds like this big grandiose thing, and there's all, your civilization really has to work hard to build up towards an assault on another civilization. You just take the action, they take a morale hit, you get some victory points, you spend some resources, it's done. I think that's kind of lackluster when it comes to civilizations at war. But from a mechanical standpoint, it actually works really well because, number one, it's a take that action. Obviously you're managing the resource of your morale throughout the game because certain cards, you need a certain morale to be able to activate them or even build them sometimes. And it's kind of cool that you can affect people in that way. You're like, oh, he's doing a really good job. So everybody, we have to attack him to move his morale down enough so that he can no longer use that power. And then he has to waste actions to bring it back up. But the take that action isn't offensive, right? Like some people don't like take that in a game, but this one's just a light version of it. It's like, hey, I'm going to get some victory points and you just, you take that morale hit. So it isn't really that stressful of an action to have it happen to you. So I think some people are going to be okay with it that don't like the direct conflict, and the people who like direct conflict is a little bit there for you. The advisor cards add a lot to this game because there are a lot of different strategy avenues that you can take with this one. You got the attacking, you got victory point engines, straight victory point cards, like all sorts of different ways that you can gain victory points. So there's all these different strategies that you can employ, and those advisors sort of enhance those. There's 5 of them out every game, and they change every time because there's enough of them that multiple games will have different advisors. So they lay out these strategies that you can employ, and you look at what's there and you look at what you got in your hand and you devise what you're going to do throughout the game and you go for that one guy. It really is a neat thing that sort of forces you to change your strategy sometimes. And it's fun that you can only have one at a time, and you can change, but you have to fire him and buy a new one. And that's going to be a pivot strategy there for you. I like that aspect. Now, as far as this whole game goes, like I said, it's a solid game. It works really well. It is actually very fun. It takes about an hour. It plays good at 3 and 4 players. Is it going to win any awards for best card game? I doubt it. It's not the greatest game I've ever played. It certainly isn't better than my favorite, Glory to Rome. I guess that's just an opinion, but it is a solid game. It's well done. There's a lot of replayability, I think, in there with the different factions, the different cards, and the different advisors. Lots of different strategy avenues you can employ. So I think there's a lot here that you could pick up for a relatively inexpensive price. So I recommend, if you like card games, you're into the space theme and Masters of Orion, check out Masters of Orion, the card game. Thanks everybody for checking out my review of Masters of Orion, the card game. If you love discussion about board games, card games, miniatures games, and role-playing games, check out our audio show, the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast. You can find it at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes. And until next time, have a good one.